YouTube.
Okay, we're now on YouTube. This is live, according to the message. Mm-hmm. We're now on YouTube. This is live.
Hi, everybody. Well, whoever came in early, thank you.
Oh, good.
We're just getting the party started. You know, like when you get to somebody's house and it's a party and they're still trying to get dressed and put stuff together. Hey, everybody. Well, whoever came in early, thank you.
Oh,
we're just getting.
Good.
So just like when I do with my clients, I'm going to put on my headset because I get feedback.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have anybody online yet.
Yeah, that's why I know it is early here in the US. If you're in the East Coast, it's close to 10 in the morning. You know, if you're in the West Coast, 3 hours earlier.
Yeah.
If you're in Europe, perfect timing.
All right. We're just getting ready here. It's very different. Yeah, perfect for.
Good, they're connecting.
And I have gotten to people's house with it, you know, being Cuban was very different for us, Antonio, because my dad was in the military.
Mm.
I'm getting feedback, sorry.
So when you were invited to a house, you arrived like what, like earlier?
My dad was in the military.
Okay.
And he was precise. So when he had to go to any meeting, if they said 4 o'clock, he would be at the door knocking at 4 o'clock. And they'd still be getting ready because nobody expected anybody to get there at that time.
Yeah.
So it was just weird growing up like that. And then I moved to Miami. In Miami, everybody's always late. And
yeah, same.
So this is what it feels like.
Yeah, I grew up kind of the same way. In Peru, whenever you were invited, you were supposed to arrive like 2 hours later, right? Anyway. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are connecting from. Let's see.
My sister was always late, and that made me crazy because my sister she would always say, when they say 4 o'clock, that's when you get into the shower.
Well,
all right, Antonio, I need to fix my audio. So why don't you talk a little bit while I figure out what's going on? I'm getting feedback.
Your audio is perfect. Just mute the YouTube video. You see on the YouTube controls, or you play, pause, click on the speaker. So mute it, mute the video.
Yeah, hold on.
And welcome, Heather, Jasmine, Kelly, Marta from Costa Rica. Good. Stefan from Australia. Monica, New York, Kelly.
I'm good. Again. Wow, look at all these people. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Wow, 45 people watching already.
We've got Kelly, Monica. Thank you. I'm still having feedback.
You're still getting feedback.
I'm going to take this off. Let's see if that helps a little bit.
And how are you going to hear me?
Right. Yeah, I'm still getting feedback. I have 2 computers going.
Did you mute the video?
I'm getting feedback from one to the other. So let's try this.
So you have to computers
About now,
mute the
Antonio.
microphone on the other one.
No? The other, so let's try this. Okay,
So you have
say,
to computers
about now,
mute
Antonio.
the microphone on the other one.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if it works now.
Okay. But you put it in speaker mode. Why don't you put it in gallery view?
Hold on.
Put it in the speaker view, set it back to gallery view.
I'm just gonna read you guys your comments, that's all.
Yeah. Let's put it back. Let's put it back in gallery view so they can see both of us at the same time.
It's still not 10 o'clock, so I feel like all of you are kind of watching us as we're getting
These are
the stuff ready.
warm-up exercises.
That's how I feel anyway. 10 o'clock, so I feel like all of you are kind of watching us as we're getting the
Yeah, I'm getting
stuff ready.
I'm getting a feedback from because it's going through your speakers.
Yeah, I'm going through my speakers.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep, sorry about that. Let's see, maybe this.
Now I cannot hear you. You mute on Zoom. You're on mute. On Zoom.
Okay, all right. We'll figure this out eventually. We got like 2 minutes to go
Right.
before we can open the front door to let everybody else in. Everybody else is watching.
Do you switch it to gallery view? No.
Hold on, let's see.
It's on speaker view now.
It's on speaker view. Hold on.
Mhm.
Very different than doing it on normal. It's so weird.
Let's see. We have Lori, Erica from Sedona, Erin, Cristo from Tucson. Good.
Okay, hold on. You know, YouTube changes constantly, and then you can't find where things were before. Doesn't have the normal settings.
Terry. Hi, Terry.
So I hope you guys
Probably
came
Luciana.
with questions for us as I'm trying to figure this out. You would think I've never used Zoom before.
I'm watching the live on YouTube and it's still showing speaker view.
Speaker view. Okay, let me see where I could find it.
Right upper corner, you have view. So change it to gallery.
Now I found it.
Okay.
It was hidden
Good.
before. It was hidden. I've been clicking everything. There we go. Finally. Finally. All right. 10:01. Well, it was almost like I just got out of the bathroom and you guys were standing at the door, and here we are. We're ready.
We're ready.
We're ready. So now let's find where my video is so I can at least follow along. This is like you watching us. If you were to go to a class with us, a live class, you would see Antonio and I kind of getting stuff together. Sometimes he's doing his speakers and we're getting the paperwork done and we're kind of there together. So Antonio, we've been together for a long time. This is our anniversary. In 3 days is the day that we met
Right.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Time
Can you
flies.
imagine?
So I was looking at that picture you posted and you look the same. You look the same. I'm older.
I have used techniques to keep this
Okay.
looking dark.
Oh no, I see the difference in me for sure. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
been a long journey, and I want to, well, thank you for being part of that journey, that learning process together. We
Mhm.
became friends. Why don't you tell them? Because we didn't even speak at that class. We just
Okay.
exchanged a couple of words. That was it.
For those of you who have heard this before, we apologize because this is a story that we tell in every class. Excuse me. We tell in every class because people want to know, what the relationship is. And back in 2014, I was actually learning QHHT when the fireworks were going on behind me. It was around midnight, and I was taking the class online, and that was the beginning of 2014. And as soon as I finished the class, in fact, before I finished the class, I was actually building a website for my business. I had already ordered business cards. I said, as soon as I finish this class, I'm going to start
You
practicing.
were on fire.
I was on fire, yeah. And I started practicing with whoever would lie down and let me do this to them. Okay. And I started charging soon after that. I started saving that money up, and I wanted to learn more. So in June of 2014, there was a QHHT level 2 class and a transformation conference that Dolores Cannon was having with her daughter and those that help her. And it was really nice. There was about 90 something people in the class. It was a big class. And I had really paid for the trip with the money that I had saved from the actual in the 6 months that I had been practicing. I had saved the money, so I had airfare and I had hotel. And in the class, I think it was like, I don't know if it was the last day, Antonio.
Close
We
to, I think.
Yeah, we were at the we were at the back of the class. We were getting snacks. It was a breakout, and Antonio came up to me and said,
Hey, do you speak Spanish?
and he
And
didn't know it at that time, but that was like a trigger for me. I don't like to be um I don't like people to assume anything of me. I am
yeah,
Alba. I am not like, so I
you,
just said, yeah, and I just walked
you
away.
turned around and walked away. I mean, you said you lived in Miami, you look Hispanic, and your name was Alba. Put everything together.
Right,
She's got to speak Spanish, right? And
right.
and that was my thinking at that moment. I asked her the question, and I didn't understand why. She just said, "Yeah, yeah." And she turned around and
I turned
left.
around, I walked away, and I walked away.
That is the only words that we exchanged at the class.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And the reason is because even though I am Cuban, I I left the country when I was 3 years old, and we moved in shortly into an Italian neighborhood. So I grew up with this idea because every one of my friends was Italian. I just grew up assuming that I was just part Italian. And I kind of like put aside the fact that I spoke Spanish. And it was only when I moved to Miami that it hit me, a real realization that all of a sudden I had to become Cuban
Yeah.
because everybody else was.
Yeah. You said, maybe I'm Cuban.
So anyway, that's my story. So then we left. The class finished and we all were ready to leave. And you know how you do when you meet people in a class and you want to take pictures just to remember. So we all lined up at the airport and we took this picture. It
It's
was
a
like
group.
maybe 7 people or something.
Yeah. A few of us. Yeah.
And that was it. Um, that was the end of it until now, Antonio's story.
Well, yeah. Until I wanted that picture, and I was asking the other guys, which I had been communicating during class. Heather Gunn was there, right? She was part
Heather
of the
Gunn
group.
was
Heather
there,
Gunn was
yes.
there.
Hmm.
So
And
we're
Heather, shout out to Heather. She's in Canada,
in Canada. She's
and
practicing. She's doing great.
practicing. She's a great practitioner. So if you're ever in Canada, she's the
Yeah,
place for you.
good. And so I said, I want that picture. Who has it? And they said, Alba. Who's Alba? I said, Alba? Yeah, the little one. Yeah, yes. How do I get her? To try Facebook. And so that's how I sent you a message, then I friended you, and we were just chatting until one day we decided to call each other, right?
Hmm.
And since that day on, it has not stopped, you know.
10 years,
10 years. We were talking for years, like every day.
every day,
Every day.
every day.
We have gotten better now. Like now it's like every other day. No, but
And
yeah,
it's really funny because your wife, Catherine, thought we were crazy.
yeah, and so I said to Catherine, there's so much I can talk to you about hypnosis, but it's going to be boring for you if
Yeah.
you don't practice. So, I mean, I'm thankful to her because she understood our friendship, and she
Hmm.
understood that we were in this journey together, and until you finally met her in person, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
She understands. Alba can call me at any time in the morning, at night. I say, oh, there's Alba, no big deal. So she's been Catherine has been very flexible with my practice because to the classes and to the workshops and the sessions, 99.1% of my clients are women.
Yeah.
So I'm surrounded by women in classes asking me questions, sending me emails. So and Catherine understood that she's not jealous. Good thing,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. And it's really funny because if you see us now, we do this work. We've been doing it for 10 years. We've done thousands of sessions. This is our work now, and we don't even think about it. But when we first met, we were floundering. We didn't know what we were doing. And thank God we had each other,
Yeah,
because I would call him up and I'd say, I just had the worst session ever, and I don't think I could do this. I'm terrible.
yeah,
I don't know. I thought I knew what I was doing, but it didn't work. And
yeah.
and Antonio would say, no, just keep
Oh,
going,
I,
don't
I
give
was
up.
I was feeling the same way, but two things that I always remember when we started talking, Alba. Two things. Number one, that you said that you pay for your trip for the level 2 class with
Yeah,
sessions, and I was like, "What? I'm doing something wrong," because I had lived in Miami for a few years, and then by the time I took QHHT, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
yeah,
Difficult for me to get clients to practice. Friends and family are the worst candidates to practice. So my cousin had to put a group together in Miami. Had to have to fly to Miami to practice. Get 5, 6 sessions, and I mean just charging a very small amount. But when Alba said I was able to pay for my hotel and my airfare with practice sessions, and I was like, wow.
yeah,
And you were already facilitating more sessions than me at that
yeah.
moment. I
Yeah, and I
remember.
wasn't charging much. I was charging maybe $50,
Yeah,
$60. I mean, we were, but I was going every weekend. I was filling up
yeah,
my schedule. I was working 7 days a week because
yeah,
I was working my regular full-time job, and then I'd I'd sneak in a session maybe on Friday night after
yeah.
work, and then on the weekend. So I spent, I would say, almost 7 years working either working or studying every single day
We we
without a
had
day off.
we had to do it that way, and I'll explain why. But and the second thing that caught my attention from Alba is that she said, I'm going to be. I have made a decision to be the best hypnotherapist in. You said in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And anybody can say that. That is easy to say, but I actually did it. I mean, it's amazing the amount of clients that you have and the followers, and it's been really good. I mean, really good for us. But I'm talking about you at this moment, so it's your journey, and it's true. There's a lot of sacrifice because you were working your full time job. I was working my full time job. I'm a systems engineer, computers, networks. That's what I was doing. I was working full time. for a company, and whenever I facilitated sessions the same as you, Alba, it was after hours. So you're tired, but the only way to practice is after 6, on Saturdays, on Sundays. So you were single, you're still single. I don't want to say that it was easier for you, but in my case, I had to sacrifice time with my family. Catherine was very patient. My kids were, one of them was out of the house, already had 3. But I was taking time away from them,
Yeah.
So that was a difficult part.
Yeah, it is a sacrifice that you do, but when I think about all of the people that I've seen in the last 10 years, I know there are some really good stories out there. I don't hear back from too many people because I don't follow up on my sessions, but if they do come back, maybe a few years later, they'll tell me, wow, I can't believe it. And sometimes I do hear right after the session, like these miraculous things happen right after the session. And it seems this is what happens. Some people will come to me and they're not like speaking to their parents or their family members. And all the way on the way home from their visit to me, they get a phone call from them out of the blue.
That's with the role change technique, right?
Yeah.
That's with role change. It happens.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden they have a different relationship on the way home than when they came in. So, we do a lot of different techniques during our sessions, and it seems like, oh, we're just playing, with them. And a lot of them just think, oh, we're just having a conversation with them. And they get I know some people have gotten really ticked off at how we do our sessions because they'll say, it didn't feel like I'm in hypnosis. That didn't feel like that was hypnosis. We were just having a conversation. We were just kind of play acting there. But man, things are happening in a different realm and it works.
Yeah.
So, this is what has kept us going all this time, I believe, is that you see changes like are so miraculous right in front of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're not doctors. We don't pretend to be either. But what happens when you go, yeah, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
But when you go to a doctor because you're not feeling well, do you call your doctor back saying, oh, by the way, I feel better now? No, you assume that your doctor knows that in a few days you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're not assuming anything, right?
Yeah.
So the other day I got an email from somebody saying, I want to schedule a session for my son. I had a session with you 7 years ago. And since that session, my headaches and my back pain are gone, never again. And I was asking myself, why didn't you let me know? But sometimes it's nice to hear from people.
Our ego wants to know. It's our ego. We all have an ego, and we try to keep it in check. But the ego does want to know. Did I do good by you?
Especially 7 years ago, where you kind of still need that feedback to understand that you know what you're doing, right? Or that you're learning, or you're doing it well anyway. But why don't we talk about our journey?
Let's look at some of
our
these
process
too, because some of these comments are really nice, and I just want to go through some of them that I've seen. Some of these names are like family already, because I see you guys here all the time. Let us know where you're coming from. Maureen's from Long Island, New York. Thank you. More Victorious Empowerment. She wants to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Australia. Wow, what time is it? Okay, it's in the middle of the night over there, so thank you. You've got England here. Heather Rose, of course, we know who you are. Mary Lee, Kelly from Denver, Costa Rica. Stefan is here from Australia, another one. Another one that doesn't sleep. And damn Yankee, I'm sure you're from up north. Much love from Texas. Yeah, if you know of anybody who wants to chat with us, let us come on in. Terry is from South Louisiana. Nice. Okay, we've got a question here. Jasmine, Alba, could you please consider putting the French translation in your videos? Google does that automatically. If you go to
translation.
if you go to the settings and do auto translate it and then auto do it in French. It's not great translations, but that's how you translate it into your country. Alba, would it be possible for you to share on your webpage the vibration bowls and tuning forks you have and where to purchase them? I'll just tell you right now, my tuning forks are from Holy Harmony. So just go Google Holy Harmony and you'll see where I get my favorite ones. I've gotten quite a few of them throughout the years. The Tibetan bowls, I just bought them in class and in workshops. So I've been using this one a lot when I do some of the sessions now, especially when you take the energy out. I like this one. So there's no place that I actually can recommend. I just get them. I like the sound of them, and that's what it is. And we'll get back to our talk in a minute, Antonio. Dana from New York.
Oh, Dana took introspective hypnosis. Hello,
terrific.
Dana.
Hi,
Yes,
Dana.
good morning.
And Erin. Erin says, "Oh, my session with you has changed my life in so many beautiful ways." Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And she says, "I'm so grateful to be part of this journey with you all." Okay, Wishart Ab lives in Iran and wants to know how to participate in the courses. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they're online. Antonio does do live classes online. So if you look at his website, go to antoniosangio.com. And what's the tab? Is it courses?
Courses and workshops, yeah. When is the
Okay.
next online? I just posted one. I don't remember.
Yeah, you can participate. I mean, it may not be, he does it in Eastern time. So
Most of the time, yes.
most of the time. So you may have to wake up early or go late, but okay. And Antonio, I'm giving you co-host so you can share your screen if you wanted to show anybody anything online. Okay.
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
Okay. So I know I interrupted Antonio and his
No,
thread.
no, it's totally okay.
So when I first started out, all of my sessions were done in person, and everybody came to Miami to my little townhouse, and that's how I did it. And then I started going on the weekends to, if people wanted a group of people, maybe family members, I would fly out on Friday, do the sessions on Saturday, and I killed myself doing these sessions, and then I would fly back out on Sunday just to get back to work the next day. And honestly, I lost money on that because I had to pay for, I wasn't charging much at all, and I used to, I was killing myself because I was doing like 3 sessions a day, and it was hard. It was really hard. So I did that, but I really did like traveling. And so then I started doing gatherings because I wanted to, this is how it happened with the gatherings. People would come to me at every session and say, "Alba, I don't know where anybody is that I could talk to. I follow you. I know there's other people who follow you, and I don't know where they are." And I would say, "Well, I know where they are. They're on my mailing list, you know?" So my mailing list was getting really big at that time. And so I wanted to do gatherings to have people come and meet each other. And so I started doing those. And at the same time, I said, you know what? I'd like for people to not have to travel to Miami, and I'll go to them and then do the sessions there. And that's where I started traveling. And Antonio used to yell at me all the time because
You were killing yourself. You were killing yourself with all those sessions
I would go out and I would, let's say, go to Chicago, and I would spend the whole weekend doing sessions in Chicago. And then I'd come back and Antonio would say to me, "So how was Chicago?" And I went,
"I don't know. I just went to the airport."
"I just went from the airport to the hotel and back. I don't know."
Yeah, I insisted that you should get at least 1 or 2 days off there. So what's the purpose anyway, right? You need to also disconnect a little bit.
Yeah. So I was killing myself. I was starting to travel, go places, but I never got to see anything. I was just so focused on being with my clients and getting the work done. And this went on for a long time. And finally, I realized, my work was getting in my way. I wasn't able to get as many sessions as I wanted to. I wasn't able to help as many people because I had a full-time job. And in 2017, I made the decision that I was going to quit my job. And that was hard for me because
That was amazing. Yeah.
I was in
Not
the
not easy to do.
I've been in the workforce since I was 18. Okay. And I was 58 at the time, so I've been working a long time. And I made a decision, I'm just going to do this full time. And once I did that, I mean, everything exploded. I was able to actually go places and stay there more because I didn't have to worry about coming back for work. I started doing, more sessions everywhere. I just started traveling everywhere. And
Yeah.
Antonio was still doing his regular
Working my
job.
full-time job. Yeah. And I thought I'll get to practice hypnosis full-time when I retire, And I was even thinking maybe early retirement, maybe at 62, I'll be able to do this full-time because I need my full-time job. I need to support the family and pay for my bills. So um, the, um, the universe had a different plan for me, for sure. So
Yeah.
in my case, I made a decision after our first class together. I was already teaching introspective hypnosis online and maybe just a few live classes, small groups.
Yeah.
But then we agreed to do it together on the 2018.
In
So I
Charlotte.
had to, yeah. So I had to get one of my vacation. I had to do that during one of my vacation weeks, and it was amazing everything that took place during that class. Number one, the response. We were over 40 people, like 45
Yeah.
people, something like that. All the healing that took place during the course, I was transformed during the class.
Totally.
Huh? All of
Totally. You
us.
you came out of that class like a different human being.
Yeah, because I noticed the difference in many people. I enjoyed sharing knowledge. Healing took place during the demo sessions. People connected in different ways. So by the time the class was over, it was time for me to go back to my full-time job. As I was turning on my computer, I felt this heaviness on top of me and a voice saying, "What are you doing?" You know, I still remember the screen, Windows loading, right? Loading, and everything that I had been doing for years just didn't have or didn't make
Mhm.
sense anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the IT version of me died during that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Alba you were saying, right? Why don't you do this full time? I said, not yet. It is not time yet. It is not my, but come on, do it. Well, we can do the classes. I'll support you.
I became a real nag. Real nag.
And
Just
uh,
quit. You got this is
yeah.
good at this. You're really, really, really good
So
at
so I had like the little angel and the little devil here, one talking to each other. So I'm not paying attention to any of you. I need to keep my job. I need to retire with this company. And then I was getting headaches, back pain, high blood pressure because I was fighting my destiny until I just said, I give up. I rather just make the change, excuse me, make the change. And if I made a mistake, if this is a mistake, then I'll find another job.
Yeah.
I prefer that than getting to 62, 65, look back in times that I should have done that when I was 50.
Yeah.
So I decided to do that, and I felt guilty because I was not in front of my computer 8 hours, 9 hours a day. I mean, I was working even more, but the hours were spread out because I had clients in different countries, different time zones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's difficult for me to process at the beginning, but everything opened up.
It did. It
So
changed your life.
2000, I made a decision that it was going to resign in December 2018, and I did by December 31st. Was my last day. January 1st, 2019 I started my full-time job as a practitioner. This
Yeah.
is what I do now.
Yeah. And it was different times then for us. We've changed even more. I think we've totally changed every every day. I think we change a little bit
Our
more.
practice, our style, our energy has changed. I am not the same person that started.
Mhm.
Well, we met 10 years ago, but we have been doing this for like 11.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I'm not the same person I started 11 years ago. Practicing, I mean, facilitating sessions, I always say it's a two-way street. You give something, but you get something back, you
Yeah.
know. And I was healing my own stuff through my session with my clients. And also that was
Well, you got reprimanded a lot by the guides, um, your clients' guides.
yeah, whenever
They,
you're not doing something right, or you're
Mhm.
making a mistake, they're going to send you the message. They're
Yeah,
gonna keep you in track, you know.
yeah. And for you, it was you needed to be a little softer, more loving,
Yeah.
do the work with love.
Right. That was a constant message. You need to do this with more love. And I was,
Yes.
what are you guys talking about? This is a session. What is love? A discount? What is? I was not getting it until I finally got it, and that made a big change in my practice.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about our train? I mean, the training that we took, right? Because we started with QHHT,
Yeah.
and it was great because we learn how to navigate past life. We learn how to be in front of a client and interview and learn how to ask questions.
Yeah.
It was good. But what was your journey, Alba? What happened next?
Well, while I was doing this work, I was also sewing. I got into a little time in my life where I was sewing, and that was what I did. Okay. And I would do that for not for clothing. I was actually doing
Mm,
pet beds. Okay. So I got into this passion with my embroider machine. I would put the pet's name on it, and I was kind of I was really passionate. That I
remember
did
you
that.
did this for me?
I did that. That's for his tarot
Nice.
cards. So I was doing all of this embroidery stuff, and I loved my machine, and I would sit with my iPad next to my sewing machine and watch Aurelio Mejia, because Antonio had told me about Aurelio Mejia. Aurelio Mejia is in Colombia, and he's a hypnotherapist there, and he did his sessions totally different than
Mm,
we have been trained with Dolores Cannon with QHHT. And I was fascinated. I would sew till 4 in the morning, get maybe 3 hours sleep, and get up and go to work. And I just was loving his new techniques. And what happens is when you watch someone, you're being trained, through osmosis. I mean, you're just learning. And I remember I was a true devout QHHT practitioner at that time, and I always said to everybody, I want to be the best QHHT practitioner. I want to be the best. Okay, I'm going to do it exactly like I was taught, and but I was watching Aurelio Mejia, and so I remember one session. This man went through about 7 past lives, and each one was, I mean, they were going fast, and they were getting right to the point, and there was a lot of healing. And at the end, I realized I was doing techniques that were Aurelio's techniques. I was doing his work instead of the QHHT work. And I was feeling super guilty because all of a sudden I was drawing outside the lines. And I even said it to his higher self. I said, I feel kind of like bad because I've been doing work that I shouldn't be doing, exactly how I should be doing. And I'll remember this as
mm.
if it happened yesterday. He turned over to me, and it's almost, he had his eyes closed, but it was almost like a direct thing. And he says to me, "This is your session. Own it." And that was my permission slip. That's when I realized, holy moly, um, I've just
Mm.
I've just been hit with a permission slip to be who I am, to use the techniques that I've learned and just do it. And so from that moment on, I started just changing and allowing whatever came through me to do the work, not to try to remember techniques or skills, not to be like in a
In a
package,
box.
in a box. From that moment on, I was like, well, whatever comes through me is what I'm going to do, whether it makes sense or
Yeah.
not, whether I've seen Aurelio or Dolores do it. It doesn't matter. It's what's coming through me. And so that's when I started, excuse me, I started just kind of flowing with it, allowing the flow to go through it.
Mhm.
And I realized very early on that I was channeling during the whole session. It was just coming to me. So at that time, and now we move over to Antonio, because Antonio got an opportunity to meet Aurelio and bring him in. So Antonio, tell him what happened, because then I
Yeah.
piggyback after that.
So it all started when I read the book Many Lives, Many Masters. My father had read it when I was like, I don't know, 21, 22. He was mentioning the comments about he was sharing with me this concept of past lives, and I didn't like reading back then, but it didn't read the book, but those concepts for some reason made sense. When my mother-in-law passed away in 2013, Catherine brought some of her books. Among those books was, again, Many Lives, Many Masters. The book looked like new. I don't know if my mother-in-law actually read it, but I got it and I read it in one day. After reading the book, said, this is what I want to do now. But there's got to be videos now about past life regression. That's why I ran into Aurelio's videos first. And I watched his sessions. I was during one of my vacation weeks. We were not going anywhere. So just stay home watching videos. And I said, I want to learn from this guy. Contacted Aurelio. I mean, surprisingly, he answered his phone. Very humble guy, right? Answered his phone. I introduced myself. I asked him if he was teaching. He was not teaching classes. The only way to learn from him was by shadowing him or organizing an event for him. He was not coming to the US. I said, okay, I'm dead in the water for now. Impossible for me to travel because of my work schedule. My cousin talked to me about Dolores Cannon. I didn't know who she was. I went to the website, watched videos, and I saw there, learn QHHT. So I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And I took level one. Months later, like a year or so, we met in level two. And then I was practicing and I was experiencing other things in my sessions, not because I was looking for them. My clients were experiencing things in a session. So I said, okay, there's something else here. I need more tools. Not everybody goes to past lives only. Some people stay in events from this life. What do I do? So thanks to the universe, I was able to host Aurelio. To make the long story short, I was able to host Aurelio in our house with my wife in Charlotte. And he facilitated sessions from my home office. When he posted that he was coming to Charlotte, people flew from all over the country. 38 sessions in 6 weeks. That's how I learned from him shadowing.
6 days.
In 6 days. I mean, by the first day, when the first day was over, you're talking about 6 sessions a day. When the first day was over, I said, "Oh my God, what did I get myself into?" The second day was better, but the third day I was like, "Okay, bring it on. Okay, let's continue." So I got a lot of experience while watching a master facilitating sessions. His flexibility, knowing all of these techniques, and flowing with the session, adapting to what the session needed at that moment, and being honest, humble. Very simple guy. So Aurelio turned into a role model for me at that moment. As he still is for sure. So after the 38 sessions, then I started facilitating sessions. Immediately, the type of clients I started to get changed completely.
Different.
It was about healing. It was about issues. It was about traumas. You name it. The second year this was 2015. 2016, he came back the second time, and we basically did the same thing. A little bit less, because I didn't want to do this at home at that time, because what happened with Hispanics, right? You come for a session, but you bring your family with you. So we were having a session, the rest of the family was waiting in my living room.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. I was making mom and Catherine to work extra hours. So we went to an office. Anyway, that's how I learned introspective hypnosis, and everything started to switch from that moment on. And the
Mhm.
type of clients I started to get were different. And I was pushing Alba to train with Aurelio because we needed that flexibility in our session. So what happened then?
So I actually went to Colombia. I didn't want to participate in Antonio's.
You couldn't. You were traveling, remember?
Yeah. I was traveling at the time, and I couldn't be there. In fact, I was in LA that weekend when you
Yeah.
were doing it.
Genoveva Calleja I invited her. We asked Aurelia for permission. She was able, also QHHT practitioner. She
Yeah.
was able to come and join us.
So I actually spent 11 days in Medellin, Colombia, shadowing Aurelio, and I learned quite a bit. But what I really did learn a lot is that I already knew a lot of that stuff because I had been watching him for so long, and I left there with a lot of confidence that uh, I knew what I was doing. When I was there, he would put me on the spot, wanting me to join, but I can't work that way. I just can't work that way. First of all, I'm ADHD, so if anybody knows anything about that, um, you just can't jump in and do stuff like that. So I I couldn't do it. But when I went home, when I'm by myself and I'm flowing, things work, not when I'm on the spot. So um, I realized that because I lived in Florida and I was going to do this for a living, that I needed to be a hypnotherapist. So I signed up for the school in Florida, the School of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, and I I became a hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, transpersonal hypnotherapist, because I needed to have the papers for Florida. It's a state certified school. So I had those techniques now. I had different techniques
Yeah.
for doing that. Antonio went a different route. He went to Life Between Lives.
Right.
So he trained on that.
With the Newton Institute, I trained and I got certified in Life Between Lives. And
Yes.
oh my God, that was difficult. That was like being accepted. Number one is not that you say, I want to learn this and here's my money, I'll register. No, you need to apply. You
Yeah.
need some experience already, and you need to
Mhm.
prove it, right? Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, then you need X amount of sessions to get certified. So it's a process. It's a
Mhm.
process, and not every client gets to where they need to go in a session for in order to check all the things required for that session to be
Yeah.
one of your 6 sessions. Anyway, but I got that, and it was very interesting. All the knowledge from
So
Michael Newton.
we were both learning different things at that time, and to grow ourselves. Now, there's a question here, like any job, have you ever had a bad day at the office, so to speak? Yeah.
Of course,
Yes.
of
Yeah.
course, and not because we've been doing this for 11 years, not because we had lots and lots of sessions means that every session is going to be excellent and perfect,
No.
because the result doesn't depend on us. I mean, you know your stuff, but if the client doesn't want to open up, if the client doesn't want to collaborate, if the client doesn't want to forgive, if the client is not willing to visit the event that is causing the symptom, right? Most of the time it's a traumatic event.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. You can explain, you can encourage the client, but at the end, the result is
Yeah.
it depends on the client and of course their expectations, right? What is it that the
That's
expectations are for a session?
that's the biggest problem, expectations. When
Expectations,
someone
right?
comes to us and they say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to get, right there, you're going to have someone who is riding the brakes throughout the whole session because they don't know how this works, or they don't want to visit these things that their soul brings up.
Mhm, mhm.
They don't want to go to a lifetime that may be scary. They may not want to go to a time in their youth that was scary.
The-
And
Some of
That's
it, they want the results, but they don't want to do the work.
exactly.
They
And
think
I've
they're
had
going to fall
people lie in
asleep.
bed with their hands crossed and like this with their face just tight saying, it's not working. It's not working. Well, how's it going to work if you're like that? So yes, we have had bad days at the office. It makes our job so much harder when people are not open because we have an entire box of tools to work with. Okay, we have like so many tools to work with. If this doesn't work, we pull something else out. If this doesn't work, we pull something else out. We keep pulling tools out. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And you
And
could
if none
see,
of those work, we get a hammer.
and you could see that the person is like, it's not working. I'm not hypnotized. And it makes it really hard for us because
Yeah.
we need to be in a state of love. We need to be in a state of love. We need to be in a state of flow. The practitioner. We need to be in that state ourselves. And
Mm.
when someone is resisting us, it's
It-
really hard to stay in that state of flow because you really want to punch them. Okay. You want to knock them out because it's like you're not helping. You're not helping
right.
yourself. And it's not about us. We want to see the results. We
Yeah.
want to see, we want to see the power that comes from these techniques. But
Yeah.
if you fight us, it's like trying to put on a clothing on a kid who's having a tantrum,
And
and their arms are going all over. It's like that. You're trying to do something that's very gentle and very loving and wonderful, and you have a resistance. And yes, that is a really bad day at the office.
yeah, and most of the time, besides the expectation is their idea what trans is, right?
Yes.
Um, for some reason, people think that for a session to be a good session, you need to go deep in a trance, so deep that you don't remember.
Mm-mm.
And that is not true because you could be the best hypnotist and know 1,000 inductions, and it
Yeah.
doesn't depend on you. It depends on how your client's mind works.
Yes.
And only 3% of people go to that level. As a matter of fact, I had one of those in my channel. I think it's the last session I posted. Somebody that had attachments at the end of the session. She didn't remember anything, right? But that doesn't happen all the time. So people are so focused on the things that they should be experiencing while we're saying the inductions that they're blocking themselves. No, it is not working. Why? I'm still awake. Hypnosis is not falling asleep.
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
wide open.
I still feel everything. You're not going to go numb. Actually, people that go into a trance don't even realize they are in a trance. And we demonstrate this during the courses, during the classes. Remember New Zealand with Tamati? He didn't remember anything. And we did a little bit of stage hypnosis because we're demonstrating how the subconscious mind works.
Mm-hmm.
So you have people blocking themselves because they are not experiencing what they thought they were going to experience during the
Expectation.
induction.
Right.
And here's the thing, people can go into a trance without an induction. Actually, past life therapy, which is another, well, we'll talk about that, but it's another technique that I know and I teach and I facilitate, I use. There's no induction and people go into a trance, right?
Yeah.
During a work,
There's visual inductions where you don't say a word. And I
right,
demonstrated that to somebody in our last class in Maryland.
right,
And she says, what do you mean you
right.
don't need an induction? I said, just look at me for a moment. Boom. She was out.
Aurelio Mejia he no longer uses inductions. Um, what else? In class, I tell people if you say you practice hypnosis, our clients are expecting an induction. If you don't use an induction, they're going to think that you didn't even try to put them in a trance. That is
Right.
the only reason we use them now, really, But
You
people
don't
can
need
go
to.
into a trance just by closing their eyes and talking about their memories. And this is
That's
what happens during the introspective hypnosis course when we practice navigating memories. There's no induction, there's no interview. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath. I am going to count from 5 to 1, look for a set memory. 5 minutes later, they're crying, they're experiencing all kind of issues. Some people go into past life, and that's the proof.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
expectations.
Erin says, I don't remember an induction, Alba. Yeah, it may not have happened. So yeah,
Yeah.
let me look at some of these questions
The
here, Antonio,
questions.
because we
Uh,
haven't, I know
and
people
then we'll
want.
continue with our talking about what else we
Yeah.
learned.
So we've got Eve Smith from Wales, just went to Wales not too long ago. Beautiful place. How did you decide to originally do the work that you do? For me, I well, I was in telecommunications forever. I loved anything to do with phone work. So I was in telecom. But because I was in telecom, everybody who I work with was my client. And I would spend a lot of time going from place to place talking to people. And they always gave me their problems. And I would always coach them. And so it got to the point where people would actually drag their chairs all the way to my cubicle just to sit and talk with me. And so I decided that I would be a life coach. And I went to training for life coaching. And I was doing that in the evenings while I was working. And I really liked it, but I felt that there was a missing piece that I needed to get to their soul. That even though I was able to change some of their habits and thinking and things like that, I needed to get to their soul. So that was my request to the universe. Like, I really want to get to their soul. And so lots of crazy stuff happened in my life, which led me to finding a Dolores Cannon video online. And she was sitting there talking in a big chair like she usually did at a conference. And she was actually giving me the answer to my question, that she was able to get to people's soul and find out stuff. And I went, that's what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from just coaching people at work to life coaching to hypnosis. So that was my journey. And I think Antonio just told you his, right?
Right.
With the life between lives. Stefan said, like any job, have you ever had a bad day? Yes, we just told you about that. Chrisanne says, you both are great teachers. I took the class in North Carolina. Thank you. My life was a little crazy afterwards, but I'm really hoping to dive back in. Now it's starting to get back to normal. That is normal to happen. When you make a decision to change your life, sometimes your whole world starts to crumble. And it's almost like when you want to build a house, you've got to tear down everything and create a new foundation to build your house. So we've all been through stuff like that where our whole life has fallen apart in order for us to build us again. We have, I've also been to a gathering of Alba's, which was also awesome. Thank you, Chrisanne. Yankov says, what's the difference between past life therapy course and an introspective versus introspective hypnosis, Antonio?
They both so we've focused more in on these lives events. So what people bring to sessions are not questions, right? They're not coming to me saying, I want to know about my past life, because if that is the case, I will say, no, that is not what I do. People bring symptoms, physical, emotional, mental, some patterns. They bring issues, and we follow those symptoms and follow the symptom to the event, root cause, in this case, the event that originated a symptom. That event could be a few years ago, could be during childhood. Most of the times that is affecting us now come from childhood, right?
Yeah.
They can go back to the time in the womb or a past life, even after our body died in a past life. So past life, in this case, is the result of the therapeutic work, is the result of what we're doing with our client. It's not that we're looking for past lives. That is with introspective hypnosis, but in past life therapy, number one, there's no induction, right?
You go right in.
We already incorporated a few techniques of past life therapy into introspective hypnosis, but I will say that past life therapy goes deeper into trauma. It's like that is like laser surgery. We go directly to what we need. We open, we cut, we close, and we get out.
No extra conversation, no finding out what your name is, what year it is, what you
Yeah,
wear.
no
Right into
unnecessary questions.
right. It goes in and goes
Right,
out.
right.
And yeah,
People that took introspective hypnosis and then decided to take past life therapy, they considered past life therapy to be like even though I don't believe in levels, right? They consider it level 2, like
yeah,
more advanced.
yeah.
Okay. But they two go hand in hand. You know those, if you ask me of all the four, I mean, of the four techniques that I know, just with introspective hypnosis and past life therapy, I have all the tools that I need to handle almost
Anything,
any kind of situations in a session.
anything. Yeah,
Anything in a session.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is something you have to know too about Antonio.
Oh God.
Antonio can't hold back. When he knows something, he has to tell you about it. So when people took the introspective hypnosis classes a few years ago, before Antonio learned past life therapy, they didn't get the techniques that he's teaching now.
Mm.
Now, when you go to an introspective hypnosis class, not only are the classes needing to be longer because there's a lot more to teach, but there's past life therapy techniques in there too that are taught.
Mm-hmm.
And not even that, we are now incorporating some of those techniques in workshops that we're doing. So we have a workshop coming up in the Netherlands, which is Encounter with Your Soul. And we're actually teaching some of these techniques, not for you to learn hypnosis, but for you to help each other work on issues.
Right.
So you're getting stuff that usually
Yeah.
to learn to be a hypnotist, you're going to learn how to do this, and it's phenomenal. So that's a difference between introspective hypnosis. Introspective hypnosis has many, many, many different techniques that
Mm-hmm.
are taught, many different techniques. Issues with the soul to attachments, lost souls. You're dealing with just role play and how effective that is.
Stories and metaphors. You
Metaphors.
have a little bit of
We
past
teach
life
them how to tell
regression.
stories during the sessions, because
Uh,
stories are very important. And it sounds like, hey, why is she telling a story about, somebody with a tricycle? We just teach you stories, because stories are a way to get into
mm,
the subconscious mind. So we're teaching you a lot of techniques that at any moment you could pull out. And so if you've had a session with me or Antonio, and sometimes we'll just come up with this weird story that it has nothing to do with anything. We'll say, I remember, one time when I was a little girl, and this happened to me, and we just go into a story. That is
mm.
something that we teach in these
Yeah.
classes, which is important. So you're teaching you a lot of different techniques, and then after you learn all of that, so you've got the bulk of it in introspective hypnosis, then you learn to be a surgeon. Then you learn to say, okay, we're not going to do inductions. We're just going to go straight at, I like to use the metaphor of a pimple. You got this pimple, and we're going to go in there and we're going to squeeze that pimple. We're going to get everything out of it.
Mm.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that's it.
because
That's it.
the worst thing that can happen to you as a hypnotist or hypnotherapist is that you don't know what to do in a session. You're not
Yeah.
going to tell your client, well, we're going to end it here because I didn't get to that point. I have not studied this.
Right.
And as I said, a lot of people will stay in this life. People will go to sad events with parents, rape, molestation. It's a lot of issues, abuse. Some people go to the womb, and all they need to really all they needed in order to resolve their issue was going back to the womb.
Mhm.
So it's a good idea that we know all of these techniques.
Yeah.
Uh,
Somebody says best sessions are folks who have done self-work on their own, and our sessions are the icing on the cake. Not necessarily. There are some people who have done absolutely no work on themselves, um, and they're really shocked by the results. Antonio gets a lot of those. A
that's why I'm
lot.
not able to share as many sessions as I would like to,
Right. Right.
because they're very personal
Very
and
personal.
very dramatic. So if people if a person doesn't understand what we're doing with the technique, they might be asking themselves, like, what is this guy doing? Why is
Yeah.
he training his client this way? Or no, it is part of the technique,
Yeah.
And I'll
And
mention a couple of sessions, because we'll talk about that too.
yeah, my sessions are heavily edited now. Before I was able to put sessions out, just by taking names out because I don't like to put names out there. It's kind of like putting out dirty laundry, but now I have to take out big chunks of stuff because we do work on things that people had no idea that it would come up. And a lot of stuff that comes up are suppressed memories from when you were very, very young, when you were in the womb, the things that happened in the womb
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't, of course, not remember,
Mm-hmm.
and realizations that, oh my God, and you can't share that. There's no
Right.
way. You have to process that.
Yeah.
Very, very intense stuff. Let's see. Their breathing often changes, but they're not always fully aware of it. That's true. Aaron says the more I talked, the deeper I went into the memory, just like Alba says. Stefan says, have you ever been in sessions where you had to stop because it was getting out of control? Discipline required.
You are in control of that session. The session is not gonna get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
You will get out of control if you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
you are afraid.
Yes.
If you let the fear control you, then the session is gonna be out of control. But you are
Yeah.
the person guiding. You need to be centered, calm. My client can be screaming, yelling. I'm centered. I'm guiding my client.
Yeah.
I'm the one in control.
That's right. And there's a session coming up next Friday for me, in which at the end, my client says, I don't think anybody else could have done this session. Okay. Because of the way I handled it. I handled it with love, with understanding, with patience. I did not get scared,
Mm,
and uh, you just have to just always center yourself, knowing, first of all, you're always guided. You always have your guides there with you, whether you could see them or not. I cannot see them.
mm,
You have their guides there. You have an angelic presence there. You have a big crowd around you that are
mhm.
there to help. And one of the things that I do, Antonio's different. I always call in all of my divine team to assist. It's almost like I have a staff meeting, a quick staff meeting, saying, okay, I have no idea how I'm going to handle this. Because you have a conversation with the client beforehand. So you kind of get an idea. And they've told you, they've kind of they've vomited out all of their nasty stuff that they've gone through in their life. And a lot of people have a lot of just horrific things that have happened to
Mhm.
them. And all of a sudden, this is all over you, and you're like, how am I going to clean this up? And I call in my team.
My
I call them in and I say, I can't handle this on my own.
yeah,
You got to help me.
Michael Newton says something that is true, and I don't remember if it was in his book Life Between Lives or Journey of Souls, but he said the best therapist for your client is not you, is your client's spirit guide. So open up and channel, right? And it's true. Sometimes once you relax, once you feel comfortable with the techniques, once everything comes to you like second nature during the session, you start paying attention to a lot more things. I mean, you realize there are a lot more things happening in a session.
Yeah.
And if you're calm, you will get sometimes ideas, thoughts that you will say,
Mhm.
where is this coming from? Right. And what is happening is you have beings helping you, at least my client's guide or my guide,
Yeah.
helping you, and they give you hints.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was in Peru a few weeks ago, and my colleague said, "Why do you ask this question? Why do you decided to take that route when I thought it was going to be something else?" I said, "I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain it. I felt I had to do it that way. It just came
Yeah.
to my mind that I had to do it that way. So
Yeah.
once you relax, you'll
Yeah.
start getting this
And
information."
you also be kind of guided to keep going. Like there are times you want to just give up. there are times where the client is having, they're either not being upfront with you, they're not giving you what you need to guide them, and your ego is saying, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. This, I mean, give me patience because I'm dying here, and you hear this like little voiceless voice saying, keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
And your ego is going, oh, like, this is hard. This is really, really hard now.
Painful.
And you keep hearing, keep going, just be calm, just be calm. And so you got to sit back and just bring in more love, bring in more patience, knowing that it's going to go. And those sessions are not online because they're so, and people would just like go
one
nuts.
Of mine is, one of mine is online, and this is an old session. This is session number 2, 2015. You'll see, I tried induction back then. I was recording induction. Induction, I tried workarounds and nothing was happening. The client was saying, I don't see anything. I'm not getting anything, until she finally connected, and it was beautiful. That session was beautiful. Everything that took place in the session,
And we have people saying, nothing happened until the very last few minutes. And then you brought me out and I was like, well, you didn't say anything. I asked you if there's anything else. And it's like, no, okay. So, every session is so totally different and unique. And, we could tell stories until we die.
We're going to talk about that. Let's just finish with the journey, because after learning from you took QHHT, then clinical hypnosis, right?
Yeah.
And also with Aurelio and Cabouli, right? Past life therapy.
Yeah, I have 3 major trainings, which is the QHHT, 4, Aurelio Mejia, which, was mostly shadowing. Then the not clinical, it was hypnotherapy, clinical hypnotherapy, transpersonal. There's 3 different classes. So yeah, those were 3. But there's one here. Any thoughts on fraternal twins? Is it simply biological? My twin would never listen to this discussion. I had a session not too long ago about twins, where the second one just happened to see the vessel and say, I need to be born there, and really had nothing to do with the family. It's really, every session is different. So sometimes twins have nothing to do with each other. They just see the opportunity and they take advantage. Yeah, they see that this is the right opportunity, the right family. What were you talking about, Antonio?
The training, and I'm gonna finish saying, I got QHHT, then Introspective, then Life Between Lives, and when I thought I got it, that I think this is all I need. A colleague of mine, in psychologist in Mexico, said, Antonio, there is this guy named Jose Luis Cabouli, Dr. Jose Luis Cabouli, that facilitates a session named the translation is past life therapy, right? But it's terapia de vidas pasadas in Spanish. He was going to Mexico for a workshop, and I decided to go. When I witnessed what he was doing in a session, I was like, oh my God, I need to learn from this guy. And I also like his energy the same way I did like the energy from Aurelio. So if you ask me, my 2 mentors are Aurelio and Dr. Cabouli, and I respect them as teachers, as practitioners, and as human beings, most of all. And I got all of those. That's basically it. And I think the knowledge is given us, you and me, right? Giving us all the tools that we need for sessions. But because I said the worst thing that can happen to you, and it happened to me when I only knew one technique. What do I do now? And then you have somebody paying you for a session, and you didn't know what to do.
Yeah, one of the catalysts for me, and this was a time when we saw Aurelio handling lost souls. And I had never had really a session with lost souls, and this is way early. And I had one that was really obnoxious. and very pushy. It was basically a bully. And I was trying to do the technique like Aurelio was doing it. And I wasn't Aurelio. I couldn't do it the way
Yeah.
he did it. And I was scared of this entity. I was being bullied by it. I was being taunted by it. Um, just for an example, I would say, okay, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I get to number 3, let me speak with my client. So I'd say 1, 2, 3, and the entity say 4, 5, 6. I'm not giving you him back.
Yeah.
It was just really obnoxious like that. I didn't know what to do. I had never encountered anything like this. And
Yeah.
I'd never seen it done any other way than how Aurelio had done it. And so that was my catalyst that I needed to really learn how to handle these lost souls. And I got Antonio on board, and we started learning different techniques. And some of those techniques we've now rejected because we've kind of learned on our own how to handle things. Antonio has written a whole book on it. So, that was our way of getting into stuff that we've never learned. So, but we kind of like always called each other and like, what do I do now? Like that was awful. And
Some people will tell you, right? I don't believe in attachments. I have never found one in a session. No, you didn't know how to detect them.
yeah,
It's not that we're looking for them. They manifest. You need to understand.
yeah,
And one of the things, Alba, that I realize is that by just asking, I'm not going to say what question that is, just by asking a question when our client, let's say it was our client who went to a past life, we're navigating the past life, my client is out of the body, we ask all the questions, right? There's one question that we ask that is going to help us determine if that was my client or that was the attachment attached to my client, and we regress the attachment to its past life.
yeah.
And
Sometimes as soon as you start a session, that's the past life of the attachment.
exactly. As soon as you start a session, the headaches, the things that not the clients, so it's a good idea that you learn how to work with that.
Not just watch the videos, because there are things that are taught in class that you don't understand what's happening online. But many people who do past life regressions, solely past life regressions, are doing past life regressions on an attachment
without even knowing.
Without knowing. Yep.
So when your client leaves your office, the attachment is still there with them.
Yeah. And they just had a past life regression, they just got to relive their past life.
Right. And the spirits know stuff about us from our energy field, from our aura. There's a lot of information, if if you're afraid. So if you're not prepared, of course, they're just going to play with you. And we cannot be naive. There is a lot more that we need to know when it comes to helping lost souls. We need to understand how that works. But
and just because we found lost souls doesn't mean that you don't get them again. Okay. It's like saying, well, I got rid of a cold, I'm not going to get a cold again. If you are the type of person who, and here, we kind of talk about these in class. If you're the type of person who likes to hang out in bars, okay, who watches porn, who works in a hospital or visits hospitals, cemeteries, what else, Antonio?
Yeah, so number one is like
Drugs.
Yannick is saying, is your habits, right? If you like, for example, to use drugs or alcohol, you are attracting those souls that used to do that so that they can keep experiencing it through you.
Exactly.
Same as smoking. People addicted to porn or sex is the same thing, So, but then you have places where, if you think of hospitals, are really, the biggest repository of lost souls. How many people died being unconscious? So there's still souls trying to make sense of what just happened to them. They don't understand.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So, so if you work at a hospital, I'm not saying that anybody that works at a hospital will have an attachment, but you're exposed to that. Cemeteries, Wait, I had a client that had an attachment, and when I asked the attachment, when do you attach to my client? She said, at a wake. Whose
Hmm.
wake was it? She said, mine. So, not a good idea to take kids to those places, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Someone says even video games and scary movies. Yeah, whatever puts you in an altered state,
Yeah,
whatever scares you. I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch violent
yeah, I
movies.
don't.
I don't want to put myself in a state that is not um, a loving state. I made a
Hmm.
mistake the other day. I was reminiscing really bad memories because it was an anniversary of a really bad time in my life, and I I just jumped into that rabbit hole, and I immediately felt my whole body change. I felt the same as I did when it happened. My I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. That incident put me in a hospital. So I immediately stopped it and I said, no, 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 no. Because when you put yourself in a different state, you drop your, it's like you drop your shields.
Yeah.
Okay. You drop your shields. You know how you watch Star Trek, shields up. Okay. You drop your shields the moment you go down that rabbit hole. And you do the same thing when you're drinking, when you're on drugs, you're dropping your shields. You don't have the immunity, the spiritual immunity. So, I like to admit that, this is what happens to me also. You have to be careful of your
Mm.
thoughts
Yeah.
because your thoughts are your shields.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about, do you have any sessions that you remember? You said, oh, this session I remember because this is what happened, and this is what I learned from the session, or
Well, I have a really bad memory, Antonio, but I just had one the other day that I wanted to keep in the Rolodex.
okay.
You always ask me stuff like that, and it's like, oh, I can't remember. I had one the other day, which we immediately see as a red flag. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and it was someone who was in the womb. I was doing a regression to the womb. We found out a lot of things, but during this birth, she was stuck in the canal. And all she kept repeating was, I don't want to die again. I don't want to die again. Oh my God, I don't want to die again.
Triggering memory from other lives.
Where's that coming from? Okay. So that for us is a red flag that something has happened in a recent past life where they're shocked again because they're reliving the death that
Mhm.
they just. So even in the womb, you will relive things that happened to you in a past life. So you're
Right.
coming into this life already traumatized. And so I took her to that past life, after the birth was completed because we needed to complete the birth, but we found out what happened. So even in the womb, you're going to experience trauma from past lives.
And it's sad that many practitioners or therapists don't pay attention to this technique, don't pay attention to the time in the womb. And it's
Mhm.
another life experience. You know, a lot of the things that took place in the womb still affecting us now. It programmed us in a way, you
Yep.
know. So, oh, I
Yep.
published my book in Spanish, but it's gonna be like at least I would say 2 or 3 months before I publish it in English, The Soul in the Womb. But
Yeah.
it's
And
in
that's a good
Spanish, it's
one.
ready.
That's a good one.
Everything that takes place in the womb.
Um, let me go to some of the questions because we asked people to interact with us.
Hmm.
Um, KG Whisper says wakes are different than cemeteries. Earthbound spirits usually congregate around places where there's lots of live humans. I learned this from Marianne Winkowski, the Ghost Whisperer. Um, they could be anywhere, okay?
They
Lost
are
souls could be
everywhere.
anywhere. In fact, there was one thing that Antonio talks about. I remember when it happened and you called me on it. He was actually doing a past life regression. He was doing a session and someone just happened to be walking by. A spirit just happened to
Oh
be
yeah.
walking by.
I was
And
doing a
all of
role
a
change in a memory, and the spirit just saw the opportunity and poop started communicating.
Exactly. So they could be anywhere. There's one that says, how does one self-medicate, though? I don't understand what that means, that question, Yannick. What tech equipment do your clients need if they're doing a Zoom session with you? They need a laptop. I don't do it on the phone. It needs to be a stable laptop, and they need to have a headset with a microphone that goes in front of your
A
mouth.
USB headset.
Yeah.
Why USB? Because the 3.5 millimeter connector, the round connector, sometimes is not compatible with the laptop. So you can hear them. I mean, they can hear you as the practitioners, but the microphone is not working. And the clients will tell you, but you can hear me. Yes, because you're using the built-in microphone of the computer. By the time you're away from the computer, lying down for the session, I won't be able to hear you.
And I do a test with my clients. That's the first thing I do when I come on Zoom is I ask them to test their microphone, because many times they're sitting in front of their laptop. It sounds fine because they're using the mic of the laptop. But the moment that they turn away or they lie down, I can't hear them anymore. And even if you have a headset, a mic on your headset, if it drops down to their throat or it's not there, still I can't hear them. So that's, and I have on my website, I actually have under my hypnosis preparation for Zoom session, I tell them exactly what they need. So that's what they need. They need Zoom on their computer, on their laptop, and they need to be in a place where I could see them. Lights on, comfortable position, pillows, blanket, whatever makes you comfortable. And it's really the same. A lot of people ask that question, is it the same in person? Yes, the techniques are the same. When you lie down in front of me and have your eyes closed, it's the same as having me on your headset with your eyes closed. So the technique is different. The only difference is that obviously when you're in front of someone, it's more of a touchy-feely. I get to hug you. So that's the only difference, but the techniques are the same.
Okay.
We
What
have
other questions do you have?
Carrie says, I too feel I was damaged in the womb. It's been a lifetime of trauma. So I don't know if Terry, if you've had a session, but it'd be good. Is not birth itself somewhat traumatic, even done cesarean? Yeah, a birth is a traumatic experience.
It's the first survival experience for the soul, for that life. And as you said, Alba, it can trigger memories from previous deaths, right? Even from the time you were tortured.
Yeah.
So it can be also traumatic. Yeah.
Yeah. Stefan says, not only hypnotherapy, multiple skilled computer technicians. We are very lucky that we both came from a technical background.
Yes.
I have lost a lot of my technical skills because I don't use them. I called him the other day. My website was down. It was like, I don't care what you're doing. If you're mowing your lawn, I need my website.
Yeah.
He's my tech support. And, he immediately knows how to get in, and it's amazing to have him as my support. So,
Thank you.
we have to know technology, and this is a time in life where you have to know the technology. Otherwise you fall behind. I have people who I went to school with who still don't know how to work themselves around a computer. I don't understand that.
And it has become a lot easier nowadays, Alba. If you don't know how to post or create banners, there's a program that you can allow you to create banners in an easy way. You can post from your phone, but somebody in this field, you need to know technology. You need to have an online presence. You need to have social media,
Yep.
social
And if
networks.
you're going to do a Zoom session with us, you better have some sort of tech support, maybe your teenage kid or something nearby to get you online. I've had that many times, is their teenagers are doing the stuff behind the scenes, just to get them going. And so it's a great opportunity. People are around the world watching us, and the reason why we teach people is there's billions of people around the world that need this help. And we're on Zoom. We're talking. It's as if we're sitting in the room with you.
We were talking the other day, Alba, how AI is taking over everything right now, right? AI, you have robots replacing people at factories. with this type of work, you always need a soul to help another soul, right? You need somebody with tools like a therapist or hypnotist or practitioner to guide somebody. You cannot have a computer do that for you.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, in this type of field, you don't become obsolete. If you're a programmer, if you're a systems engineer, whatever it is, over the years you become obsolete because you're gonna have younger people with more energy and better skills ready to do the same thing you do at a cheaper price.
Mhm.
This doesn't happen in this field. The more years you have practicing this, the more experience you have. Those kids that are learning, that are coming just new, it's going to take some time to get the experience they need. And as long as we can move our lips, we can still do this. Right. We can facilitate sessions, do workshops and classes. So it's good. And I didn't think of that when I started in this field, but this is what is happening. Doesn't matter where we are. We still can
Yep.
facilitate sessions over Zoom. And this is a good thing about past life therapy. This is a good thing about introspective hypnosis. Even the Newton Institute had to adapt to the times. You can have a live between live session online now.
Mm-hmm. And,
Mhm.
a lot of people come to me when I ask them, I said, why don't you learn how to do this? Because you're really, if you want to help people, why don't you learn? They say, well, my English isn't very good.
So what language do you
What is your
speak?
language? Okay. So, and I have people, I remember recently we had somebody in class, she was Russian, and she said, I said, listen, there are a lot of Russian people
All over the
who are
world.
looking for sessions. I can't help them. Antonio can't help them, but we could teach you how to do this. And then you could use these same skills and do it in Russian. Okay.
Mhm.
French people, we have a lot of people who speak Arabic, who
Mhm.
are watching me. And, all they'd have to do, they don't have to do it in person. They do it on Zoom. Okay. So, why not? Why not learn this? If you know enough English to understand what we're saying, then you can learn this and then apply that in your own language.
Mhm.
And like I said before, if some of you were watching, I feel like I'm channeling the whole time I'm doing my session. So you will also receive that help from that higher version
Mhm.
of you, from your guides, it's really funny because I had a session a few years ago with Tabash. Tabash is the entity channeled by Blair Styra. And I asked him a question. I said, when I'm in a session, who do I channel? Because I wanted to know. And he says, you have a very strong higher self. It's a gatekeeper. And he says, you have so many in the room with you, your guides, you have other entities that are able to help, but they all go through your gatekeeper, which is your higher self. And that is who's channeling. He says, it's not the same with everybody, but with you, that's the case. So that's how I do it. When I go
Mhm.
into a session, I put myself into a trance with them. I'm in trance, so that's why you hear me speaking differently when I'm on a session. I put myself into a trance. Sometimes while I'm talking, it's really weird, Antonio. When I'm talking and I ask questions, I I finish the question in a different way that I would normally
Mm.
ask. And it kind of almost like makes me laugh internally, like, why do I do that? Why do I talk that way when I'm doing a session? It's like so bizarre. Why do I do that? But it's the
Happens.
same.
Yeah.
Every single time I ask the question, I ask it with the same way. It's like a different manner. And it's like, because it's not me, the one that's just speaking right now. This is a different version of me
Yeah.
that's doing it. And even when I'm in a session, my ego is always there, just like my client. I always have my ego just listening to what's going on as I'm doing it.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm going to myself like, why am I going this way? Why did I go in this direction? Like, what's that all about? My ego is kind of like trying to interfere. And it's almost like this voiceless voice says, like, just let it go. Let's just let it go. This is the way you're going, Alba. And my ego will go, but that's not the training I got. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I always have this thing. And it's like, let it go. Just go. Just go in that direction. It's like, okay. So I even have that dialogue, just like my clients in hypnosis, that I question myself. Why am I going in this direction? And all of a sudden, something will happen. It's like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, we need to learn how to flow in the sessions.
Mhm.
Because if you keep we know the techniques and we know the steps, our clients don't, right? So don't expect your client to follow those steps. So you need to adapt and you need to flow with the session according to what is presented.
Mhm.
When you want to keep the technique based on what you want to happen, it's rigid. The technique is like you said sometime, Albert, slow dance. We're slow dancing during the session. But if you don't go to the same rhythm, it's uncomfortable and it breaks, saying, I don't want to dance anymore, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I have a few sessions that I wanted to talk about in case, things that I found as I was learning, right? We can start with session number 2, for example. I just mentioned, if you go to my channel and search, there's a search option within the channel, or if not, Antonio Sangio 02 or 2, right? Induction, nothing happened like for the first 15, 17 minutes in a session. For somebody starting in this field, frustrating, thinking that is not working, the client saying I'm not seeing anything. But some people are novices, so we need to switch our vocabulary to what comes to your mind, what do you feel. Anyway, beautiful communication with her grandmother. Because she went to that event with her mother. Her grandmother passed away. She used to call her mom because she's the one that raised her. Beautiful communication with her, and her grandmother asked her to go to the hospital. She's not well. The grandma was talking to me. My granddaughter is not well. She needs to go to the hospital. It's an emergency. As soon as she gets out from here, and the grandma was right. I cannot give details of what happened, but grandma was right. Because I follow up with my client a few days ago. A few days after that, Number 10, it actually was my first solo encounter with a lost soul. I had trained with Aurelio like a week prior to that session. It's number 10 because I put the subtitles in English. Think of any possible situation that you can run into in a session. Somebody starting in this field. That's a session, You'll see that we found 3 attachments in that session. At some point when I'm talking, I realized that there were 2 talking to me indistinctively at the same time. You will need to be in a class so I can pause the video and show you where, but I learned that a few months later, there were 2 of them communicating at the same time. What else happened in the session? In that session, her mother manifested in the session. And what was interesting about it is that the mother was alive at that moment. So back then, we're talking about 2015, I didn't have the answer. How is this possible that somebody that is alive manifests in a session saying, I am the mother and I hate them all, Thought form. That is the explanation. It's a thought form.
Yeah.
And so did the father. The father also manifested in the session. The father was also alive. What's more, the father asked his sister, who is the aunt sitting next to her, saying, bring me to where my daughter is. I didn't understand that. It was bring me, I also need a session. That's what the guy was saying. And I met him, like a month and a half later. What else happened? She was somnamblistic, didn't remember anything. And the proof that some people want to get something out of the session. She wanted to work on the issue with the relationship with her kids. If you watch the whole session, not even once she mentioned her kids. Her soul went to work on the issues that felt more important at that moment. We finished the session. She didn't remember anything. And she said, what about my kids? What about them? You didn't mention them. Sometimes you want to get A out of the session, you get letter B, but it's B what you need. Session 119, it was a class, I think it was 2019, Alba. Maricel. Maricel, we asked her to be the volunteer for a demo session, and she started channeling a light being that gave us a message, gave a message for the whole class, and it was beautiful to watch. What you will also see at that moment in that video is that, as I was saying, the induction for Maricel, Rina, you know, who was listening also to the induction, went into a trance. So they two went into a trance at the same time. You don't see that in the video. But then I had Maricel, or this like being connected to Rina, and tell us what was happening with her. Why is it that she was so emotional?
Mm.
Um,
And let me just stop you right there, because during our classes, something always happens.
always happens, always.
Always happens. And so a lot of people come thinking that they're just going there to learn hypnosis. And we have things happen all the time because
You heal stuff.
you heal and you're in trance during that class. You know, after the first couple of days, people are just in a trance like all day. And we've had people fall off chairs and go into, spontaneous channeling.
Right.
We've had, oh my God, we've had so many things happen in our classes
Mm-hmm.
because you are in a group of people who are all like-minded, first of all. So the energy is very, very high in that place. And you're learning these techniques, and your guides are there kind of like urging you on also
Right.
as to get stuff taken care of. So people really work on their issues in the classes and in these live classes. So if you're thinking of learning this, you'll know that you're going to be going there to work on your issues
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Absolutely. We need to work on ourselves first, you know.
Yes.
So session 183, my client had issues with her back. I don't remember if she mentioned that during the interview. And this is a type of session where you will say Antonio is being torturing the client. No, I was using part of the technique in past life therapy that I had learned. And yeah, it looks like I'm torturing her, you know, but at the end of the session, you see her with a big smile and then a testimonial at the end because she got instantaneous healing at that moment. You know, she was able to stand up, my back doesn't hurt. Interesting session 183. 193, I had a session with that client some time ago, and she had a beautiful communication with her mother. You know, they had issues while they were incarnated. They had issues as a mother and daughter, but she was not present when the mother passed away. So at that moment, we established a beautiful communication with her mother, and she was able to work on all of these emotions that she had been carrying. I think at some moment she had cancer and got healed. I was contacted by her son months later, months after the session, if not a year after the session. He let me know that his mother had passed away. You know, that she went into the surgery and never came out of the operating room. But he let me know how much that session had helped her, and he could see the change. And based on that, he scheduled his own session. You know, so that was also a good testimonial.
Yeah.
Number 335 is a recent session, Alba. Remember Rogel
Yes.
in right?
Mhm.
Regression to the womb. I want you to see what she went directly to the womb as we were looking for the first memory. You will see what people experience in the womb and how that is affecting them. 335 is the session. Hold on, let me just double
These are all
check
on Antonio's YouTube
on my
channel.
YouTube channel.
Just look
Right.
for Antonio Sangio so that you could see he's using all of the techniques. Obviously,
It's
Antonio and I are different people,
different
so
styles, right?
different styles. But as Antonio says in class, we teach you how to write. What you write may look totally different than, but we're giving you all the techniques. We give you the instruments to use, and um, you ultimately become your own technique because everybody has their own style of speaking, of acting,
Yeah.
and you will attract people that are attracted to you.
Yeah. And then we also have that one has the title in Spanish, but it actually it has subtitles. Look for 341. The session is in English. Session is in English, and there is a very emotional communication with my client's deceased relatives, deceased mother and brother and someone else. And the session was just about that. This is a lady that might be her, I remember, 60s, 70s.
Mm.
And it was very emotional. And she was carrying the load and guilt for the things that she thought she didn't do for her mother, for her father, and for her brother. And here's the beautiful confirmation from them saying thank you for everything she had done, that it was her time now to live her life. Beautiful communication. That 341, again, the title is in Spanish, but the video is in English. Watch the video. So things that happen in sessions that change our lives, and that's why we're not the same person we were when we
Yeah.
started doing that. All kind of things
When I first started
happen.
doing these sessions, Antonio, what I realized is that people who were brought to me were having almost the same issues that I was. They had the same questions about things in life. And I started healing myself as I was helping them.
Yeah.
That's, uh, you don't even know how you're going to help this person, but as the session flows, you realize you're getting your own answers to your own questions. And so
Yes.
many times I've realized, for example, people who hold on a lot of weight, um, either they could have starved in a different lifetime and made a vow that they would never starve again. I have a family member like that, they died horrific lifetime of starvation. And it's almost like in the Gone with the Wind, I will never,
Hmm.
you make a vow. Um, um, so they come and they pack on the weight, even from birth, is because their soul says, I will never starve again. Or
Oh,
it could be people who are just holding on to everybody's
oh.
stuff.
Oh, they were raped in a past life for being beautiful and
Exactly.
attractive. Yeah, they said this is
Yes.
not going to happen to me again. I don't want to
Right.
be attractive.
Exactly. So we will put on this costume of this lifetime, depending on what it is that we want to accomplish or make sure it doesn't accomplish again, it doesn't happen again. I know I made vows like this, in my past life about my appearance because, I would have gone into the same thing that I did in the last time, and
Mm.
this ensures that I don't. So once we start going through these incidents, we realize why it is that we're feeling these things. One of the things that you said before that just reminded me is headaches during sessions. When we first started doing this, people would immediately like, "Oh my God, I just got this
Yeah,
headache,"
how convenient.
and we would stop the session. That when we didn't
Mm.
know, we just didn't know. We'd stop and say, "Okay, well maybe we could do this another time when you're feeling better." But those headaches are really important.
Right.
When someone tells me they've got a pain that they can't continue in the session, that is my best instrument. That is the best instrument I could
Well,
use. I go diving right towards it.
and there could be many explanations. The way I see it is that as the client is getting into a trance, they're already they are they can become mediums basically. Somebody in a trance is a medium. The same way they can
Mhm.
communicate with a deceased
Yeah,
loved one, for example, right? They can communicate with whoever is attached to them. So what they start to feel is maybe the way that lost soul died when he had a body issue
yeah,
with the head. So that's the pain they feel, the pain
mhm,
of the attachment. All
yeah,
right. So that's a process that we follow to double check that and to start helping them.
yeah,
So you see,
exactly.
there's a lot of things that we learn over the years and that we transmit in our classes that we did things that we didn't know. And as you said, Alba, you stopped sessions because I thought the client was not doing well. I stopped sessions. I also stopped sessions when I thought my clients were not in a trance because I was taught that my client had to go very deep into a trance for the session to work. And to my surprise, when I brought my clients out of a trance, they didn't remember anything. Or they were in a trance, they didn't remember a few things. It's normal to remember everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
One of the questions that I have here, Antonio, is do people, during your trainings, do people do automatic writing?
If it happens spontaneously, I don't know.
We
We
don't know because they're taking notes all the time. We have no idea what they're doing.
no
You know,
idea.
yeah, so we don't know. Now, I do automatic writing. I've been doing it since 1988. So I do automatic writing all the time.
No.
And even when I'm in any type of a meeting or whatever,
Mhm.
I will start doing automatic writing just because my guides want to tell me something about what's going on around me. But we don't know that. It's not something that we don't teach automatic writing, but if it's I know that Laura Weaver did a beautiful writing while we were in
Yes.
class. And she actually read it out. It's on her channel on Laura Weaver. She actually reads it, but that's not something we train on
Yes.
automatic writing.
After we're finished, people get together there are different places. If we're talking about Bonsecours or Samaya in the Netherlands, they get together and they practice. Some of them are energy workers and energy healers, and they do stuff. I remember I did the same time when I took my live between live training. We would get together after class and spend time with my classmates. So stuff might happen there for sure.
Yeah. Here's another question. Love the way you always question the big event. Well, I haven't questioned the big event in a long time. In certain sessions, Alba, never get a straight answer, such a small word. You have similar experiences, Antonio.
What is the big event? You see, I don't get any of
That's how
that.
he answers it. Okay.
Yeah, what is the big event?
Yeah. Antonio and I work totally different and work totally different. Okay. Antonio is focusing on helping the person with trauma, the symptoms of the soul. That is his focus, is helping people with their issues. Okay. He does not usually get clients coming to him, asking him questions or talking to him about things that are not in his world. Okay. I mean, I'm being frank with you, Antonio.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
With
That's the
everybody.
way it is. If
Now,
you go
people,
if you go to an oncologist office, who's gonna be in the waiting room, right? People that have cancer, right? Not somebody that needs a gynecologist. So depending on how you need to determine who you are as a practitioner and what is it that you do. And based on that, the universe is gonna start sending you the clients
exactly,
that need those tools.
exactly. So in the past, and I'm saying in the past, it doesn't happen very often anymore. In the past, people would come to me asking about the event, what's happening, the Ascension. And in fact, I wrote a whole book with Jill Cole on Ascension things because that's what she wanted to do. I mean, this is what her guides were asking. So I participated on that because I'm able to ask the questions for that. But ever since I started taking the classes for Dr. Jose Luis Cabouli, I have been attracting totally different clients now. Okay. And the first thing I tell my clients when they book a session is, do not tell me anything about you and do not bring any questions because this is not about asking questions. Okay. And when they come to the session, we sit down, we talk for a while. I get to know them. Even our interviews are different. Antonio interviews people differently than I do because it's what comes to me and that's how I do it. And there's no other way I could do it because that's I'm already in a trance myself when I'm interviewing. So things will come up during our interview that may not have been right there for them when they came. And that's the stuff we work on. So before I have a session, it's like, listen, imagine we're going someplace and I need to set my GPS. Where are we going? What are the things you want to work on today? You talked about the fact that your uncle raped you when you were 5 years old. Okay. Do we want to work on that? Yes, we want to work on that. We have an issue with your mother. You want to work on that with your mother? Yes, that's another GPS thing. What's this thing with your foot? You said your foot hurts. What is it? Your right foot? Yeah. Oh, my right knee also hurts and my hip hurts. Everything on my right hurts. Okay. That's the GPS we're going to go for. Okay. So when we are talking, things come out in our conversation, and that's how we set the GPS for the session. It's not, hey, I don't know where I'm going to move to. You know, what do you think? Should I retire? That's not the kind of stuff we work on. We work on what's going on with you. So that's what, what I work on.
This is the problem that I see, right? So this is how I see things, and this is just my reality, and I respect somebody else thinks in a different way. Because at the moment of the session, what's important is what my clients believes in. Doesn't matter what I believe in.
Yeah.
So we incarnate in this world to evolve, and to go through this evolution, we go through a lot of suffering, and if we don't understand the suffering, it could be painful. Think of Mike Tyson training to be the world champion, getting up early in the morning, going on a diet, going back to the gym, right? He suffered, right? But he understood that suffering was going to take him to the next level. Now, trying to apply the same thing to somebody that is lazy. Why waking me up so early in the morning? Why do I have to run? Oh, my body hurts. Oh, why do I have to eat vegetables? I really like chocolates, right? So it's the understanding of the suffering what is going to make the difference.
Yeah.
So what happens when we don't understand the suffering? It creates traumas. It creates traumatic events. And in order to resolve those, we need to go within. It's a journey within. We need to work with our soul. The problem that I see, and I don't know if maybe because we were raised that way, we all were raised that way, is looking outside. We need somebody to tell us what to do. We need somebody to tell us what to believe in. If we need for somebody to give us feedback, are you doing things right or wrong? And that's a problem. And that's what I don't want to happen in a session. In a session with the techniques that I use, at least with my style, we go within, we journey within, looking for the answers that you have. You have that, your soul has a knowledge. Your soul has lived many lives before. Your soul knows why you chose to be born in that specific family, why you chose to be born from that mother. Your soul knows that maybe what you're experiencing now in your life is karma, the law of cause and effect. That if you were maybe raped in this life, it is possible that you were the rapist in a previous one, as I have encountered many times in my sessions, right?
Many times.
So that is the way I don't. So to me, talking or somebody coming with questions, I want to know if I'm from the Pleiades. I want to know about the fifth dimension. I want to know about Ascension. It's not what I do because it doesn't help it doesn't help with the symptoms that my clients bring for sessions. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So no, our sessions are very different, and I do spend time following the GPS. Now there are sessions where they're out of this world. They are out of this world, and I'm able to help them because I do the research, okay? I go down those rabbit holes. I go down many. I'm a researcher of things that the normal people don't research. Maybe most of you guys do, but I do research a lot of different things, a lot of different rabbit holes I go down. So when a client comes to me, and I attract, unfortunately, a lot of people who have been in satanic ritual abuse. More than I wish. There are times I call Antonio and it's like, oh, I can't take this anymore. It's like one after another, where it's very, very heavy duty stuff because I know about it. I know what happens. I do the research. I understand what's going on. And I actually get those people who have endured things and don't remember anything about it. It comes out in the session. And so when I see things on TV talking about things that they've discovered, and it's like, oh, that was like in my session, they found the place, So that's what's going on with my sessions, but I don't focus on things that have nothing to do with the client. And that's what's changed about me. So those sessions that you got, and I know I've read some of your questions here. Some of the comments that I get is bring back so-and-so, bring back so-and-so, bring back so-and-so. No, I'm not bringing back so-and-so because I'm a different person now. I'm doing different things and I'm focusing on different issues. I am not bringing back anybody for entertainment purposes only. Okay. The only one I would do that is with Sabrina. Sabrina is my best friend, and sometimes we just enjoy our company together. And Sabrina is very prophetic, so I do enjoy it. Hopefully she gets well soon and is back on the saddle. But I don't bring back people just because you saw them a few years ago and enjoyed their sessions. Okay. And I like to be very firm about that. Stop asking me to bring back people because you feel they were entertaining or that you got information from them. I'm a different person now, and I'm focusing on this healing now, these things that are going on with me now. Here's a question. So even if I already took your introspective training, you think it would be beneficial to go through it again? Probably give me more confidence too, right?
It's always better to retake a class. If
But it's different.
it's different. If I were to take the class again from Dr. Cabouli, for example, I will go with a different set of questions based on the experience I have now.
Yeah.
And I will compare what he's saying with the experiences I had, and maybe I will bring those cases to the table.
Yeah.
Same with Aurelio, with Aurelio Mejia. So it's always a good idea. What else? Well, but we're close to the time.
Yeah. I have one
So
more here. Can you go to past lives when you dream? Can you see others' lives while dreaming? I've been having vivid dreams and they feel a lot like my sessions with you, Alba. Yeah, I believe you can. I do have clients that in their dreams they actually go to other people. I've been told multiple times that I am in other people's dreams. So it seems that I'm traveling and going to other people's dreams. So yeah, it's I think it's possible. And somebody also asked about future timelines. Do you ever have anybody go into the future?
how
You
is
could
that
go
going to help you?
anywhere. Yeah, you could go anywhere, but a future is just a probability. And I do take people into future timelines now. I'm doing that more and more. But that is for you. It's a learning. It's a tool. It's basically a tool. It's for you to get the sensation of the person and of the new you. So these are techniques that I'm using now that are different than I was doing a few months ago. But I'm always evolving. Antonio's also evolving, and we'd love to see you in the future. We have a workshop coming up.
Yeah, let me share that here.
Oh yeah. Can you do a screen share?
Right there, right? You get to see it?
Yep. This is on Antonio Sangio's website, antoniosangio.com. And you just look for the courses and workshops.
They're by date here.
We've got Encounter with Your Soul. That workshop is not for you to become a hypnotist. It's for you to work on your own issues. And
But
Antonio,
you
but it
will
was
learn a few
phenomenal.
things, and you can help your family with that knowledge. You have family and friends,
And
how to go
yourself.
through certain things. Yeah.
Man,
So
it was
that
phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So you could bring your family with you because you're not going to be working together. You're going to be working in groups. So you could, if you want to bring your spouse, your sibling, even if you have an adult child, you could bring them or bring your mom and
yeah,
dad because we're going to separate you in groups and you're going to work with that group throughout the whole weekend.
right. This is in the Netherlands at Samaya. Just being in Samaya together for 4 days is amazing. It's an amazing place, amazing energy. But
Yes.
if we work on our issues and learn tools to help yourself, to help your loved ones, it's really good. And then, of course, after dinner, we have time to just interact and we do more. So we'll work the whole day. So it's
we work a
nice.
whole day. We don't stop.
Right. So then on the 20th, again, same place, Netherlands as Amaya, we have the 6-day course.
Mhm.
Let me mention about this, Alba. We're getting closer to the time. So whenever we book an event, schedule an event, we block a certain amount of rooms for that event because Samaya is a busy place. So we block a certain amount of rooms, and we're getting close to the day when we have to release the rooms that we're not going to use. Samaya is in the middle of nowhere, really. I mean, they have a place. You have a place where maybe a bed and breakfast close by, but not a good idea. So if you're thinking about registering for that course, you're waiting for the last minute, you might not be able to get a room, and you can register with a deposit. So that way you at least say, oh, I am coming, I might not have the whole amount yet. I am coming, book my room. That's what we're doing. So that's on the 20th, and this is a 6-day course. Same thing, we work the whole day, Alba, and we want to
Yeah,
talk
and
about the
if you
food.
enjoyed our interaction today, you get to spend the whole week listening to us interact because we
Stories
tell
and do's and
stories.
don'ts.
That's the difference between just going to a class where people just teach you a technique. With us, we actually tell you the do's and don'ts because that to us was so important. Like, don't do this because of that. Okay, a lot of people, well, why don't you do this? We'll tell you why, because we feel that it's important for you to know why we don't do certain things or why we do certain things. And that is part of the class. And we teach you from the absolute basics. Absolute basics. You don't have to know absolutely anything about
Right.
hypnosis to come because everything is covered. And if you do know how to use hypnosis, you will learn new techniques.
Things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's again the 11th, October 11th, and the 20th this year, and then we have.
The online stuff too.
Oh yeah, I have it online. Once you go to my website, you'll see more events, more classes listed.
Yes.
I have the the Peru tour and workshop, so that's coming next year, of course.
That's
But our next class together in the US is gonna be next year,
in May.
May. Again, don't wait until last minute because we need to return the rooms that are not used. And sometimes we get people contacting us saying, Antonio, I really want to come. And the other hotel is like 3 miles away and it's more expensive. And said, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. And
Right.
this
So
is a
don't
retreat.
wait.
This is not a class. This is a retreat. We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner together.
Right.
We socialize together. You guys get to room together and you build really great friendships from
Yes.
these retreats. We keep you busy all day long. And it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's nice, especially because we tell you about our experience, and our experience are the do's and the don'ts. We
Yes.
also talk to you about the mistakes that we made, and we share more about sessions, and we have this type of conversation, during 6 days. So it's
Yeah.
nice. So that's what we have together, Alba. Coming next year.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Peru trip. That's in March next year. This March in this year, it was awesome. It was great. In March next year, I'm doing it again.
Yeah. So if you're interested in going to Peru,
Yeah.
Antonio puts together a great thing.
Right.
Now, one of the things that you should know by now, just by listening to Antonio and I, this is who we are. This is who we are. We're not going to show up and be totally different. He's my brother, wherever it is on the screen. He's my
With
brother.
everything included, the arguments and the laughs.
Get arguments. You'll get us fighting in the middle of the class about certain things. He thinks that's part of the entertainment. We're not going to be there playing music and singing and dancing. That's not who we are. We're pretty straightforward. We're very professional. But we will have, there's a lot of love transmitted during this class. We do love all of our students, and we really care about all of them. And there are times when, students really, sometimes they lose it because they're overwhelmed, and we're there for them. We're there for them,
Yes.
and so is the rest of the class. So it's a really, really nice experience. And honestly, if you speak a different language, we're going to do this next one in Europe. If you speak a different language, whether it be Romanian, where you know any, I even think of like Scotland and Ireland is a different language for me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, even if you speak a different way in English, it's really great to take this class and be able to communicate in your own
And
way of speaking.
because people come from different countries in Europe, and it is nice. It is nice
Yes,
because they make this connection, they make friendships, and there are groups that still communicate with each other and get together from time to time,
yes,
from different
yes.
countries. So it's nice. So anyway,
Yeah,
um,
I think we've overstepped our stay.
yeah, we wanted to
I,
celebrate these 10 years of our journey together and our
yeah,
friendship, more than
yeah,
friendship.
more than friendship. Yeah. And just keep an eye out. If you haven't, listen, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to Antonio's channel yet, subscribe. Okay. And like our videos. I know that that has something to do with the algorithms. We want to put this stuff out
Mm,
there more so people can wake up. This is part of waking up to a whole different world. And just by watching our sessions, they're getting healing themselves. It's not
yeah.
just
Just read the
not
comments,
for
you'll see.
it's not for entertainment. When you're watching a session, it's triggering stuff in you and it's healing you also. So, you know, I don't like to say it, but please subscribe, it helps. So anyway, thank
We're
you.
gonna thank you. Thank you. You have Olivia, Yannick, Stefan. Thank you, everybody. Chris Ann. Who else? All of you guys. Thank you very much for
And
spending
share our
time with
video.
us.
Share it with people that you know so that they can get to know us a little bit more so that they feel comfortable signing up for a class, because sometimes you sign up for a class, you have no idea, what you're getting into. This is what you're getting into. We feel, you know, we feel like family. I mean, Antonio and I
Yes,
we're family. Okay.
we're family.
We're family, and we treat you very well during the class, and
And when the class is finished, that is not the end. It is the
no.
beginning of a relationship with you.
Mhm.
Because I have the mentoring group. You can join for, I always say $10 a month. People laugh like, what do you mean $10? $10 a month. That's a commitment for you to say, I'm here. I want to keep learning.
Yeah,
We get together over Zoom once a month for 2 hours, and you bring your cases and you bring your questions, and I'll share more info with you. And I'll also give you access to a platform where you can interact with people around the world.
yeah,
So
totally.
you're not on your own after the class. Anyway,
Yeah. Thank you all for
thank
watching.
you. It's been a
Much
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you all.